Hi, I'm Tantram. I'm a co-founder of a little consultancy called Terrafiniti, which also runs a program called Towards 9 Billion, which is looking at developing big, hopeful ideas for a sustainable future. The thing that I'd like to talk about is the idea of valuing ecosystems. And valuing ecosystems is a big element of environmental activity at the moment, with the idea that if you can develop a value and understanding of how much these things are worth, we can also understand these things in terms of price. Now, this is a very seductive idea, but it has some pros and cons. And one of the ways that we tend to look at this is the idea of finding a good price for your mother. If you're interested in selling your mother, how would you find a good market price for her? Well, you could look at all the services that she provides for you. She's cooking your food. You could add up the price of the meals that she cooks for you. You could add the salary of a chef. You could do the same for laundry services, for health care, all of these sorts of things. And the challenge behind that is, okay, you could find a price that you might be happy to take to sell your mother, and you get some money in return when you do sell her. The challenge is, if you decide that that's a bad idea, could you use that money to buy yourself another mother? And the same thing applies to the earth. If you get money in return, can you do without that earth in the first place? One of the other big aspects that people are looking at in terms of framing what sustainable behaviour is the concept of environmental limits, and understanding which are those key thresholds within environmental systems that we can't afford to go beyond. And this is, again, a very seductive idea. It has some pros and cons, and one of the ways that we look at it is to ask the question, which straw is it that broke the camel's back? And it's an easy question to answer. We all know which one it was. It was the last one. The challenge is that in the real world, we're talking about a camel, the planet, which is getting straws of different sizes put on it by 7.2 billion people. And judging which of those straws, just which one of them is going to be the last one, is nigh on impossible. So the challenge with environmental limits is not necessarily knowing where they are so that we rush up towards them and run the risk of crossing them, but to define modes of behaviour which instinctively support and strengthen environmental conditions rather than run up against the barriers that they impose. Another way of looking at the idea of pricing and valuing ecosystems is whether we actually need to understand the value of ecosystems as a prerequisite for doing something about it. And a metaphor that we use there is really, if you have a fat dog, do you really need to know just exactly how fat it is, how overweight? My dog is 33.3% overweight, in order to realise what you need to do about that dog. And we all know what to do with a fat dog, which is to put it on a diet.